folks, Flagging here, back after a long hiatus. The pandemic has scuppered a lot of my plans the way that it scuppered a lot of everyone else's plans. I'm incredibly thankful and fortunate that the actual illness itself hasn't affected me or my family. So, moving on from that, this is Moby Dick, and as you can see, he's looking pretty good these days. The last video I made, he was still all black and all fucked up. So let me just tell you a bit about what I've been doing. So obviously the paint job is nice and fresh. It is the original front and rear mudguard. However, this isn't the same tank. This is actually a replacement tank that I got from a nice fella down south, and it's in mint condition. I've switched over the cap because I didn't want to have another key cut just for the fuel cap. So this is the fuel cap off my original tank. I rebuilt it and taken away all the crap that was on it and made sure that everything's all nice and shiny again. The rear pot was tested for compression in front of my eyes, and it was not, as I was told, down at 50. Actually, both front and rear were around about 148.5 psi, which was a massive sigh of relief for me because I was not looking forward to having to drop this engine out. And you know, I've got the manual now. I'm sure that I could do it, but I've not done it before, and I wasn't relishing needing to do it. So thankfully, that's no longer an issue. The compression's fine. And as you can see, it's now got the side covers on it. It's got one on this side as well. I'm going to be playing around with getting a few different camera angles now. I've got a chest mount for my GoPro, so hopefully as I get back into making videos, we'll be able to use a few different angles. Let's see, what else? The carbs have been completely rebuilt. I ordered a rebuild kit off eBay, and it's made a lot of difference. The last time I took the carbs off, I just kind of threw them back together and got them back on the bike because I needed to ride the bike. It was my only bike at the time, so they were out of sync, and that was a lot of the reason why the power was so unimpressive at high speeds. So the carbs have been completely rebuilt, cleaned, professionally synced. I didn't sync them or rebuild them. I must admit, I had a mechanic friend of mine come over and we did it together. He did most of the work and I did most of the watching and the learning. That's just the way it is, and I'm not unhappy about that at all because now I've got a well-working bike again. I've also swapped out the front forks because, as you'll remember from a previous video, the fork seals were gone and I had spare ones that weren't gone, so I swapped them around. It's also a new rim as well with new discs and new rubber. So the rubber itself is a couple of years old at this point, but actually looking at the tread, it's barely being used at all. It's still got the chicken strips on them. So I stuck with the original brake system, the calipers and whatnot, because they were actually in better nick than the ones I got, but I do have them spare. And biggest change of all ergonomically is I've found stock bars and stock risers. So no longer am I dealing with huge risers and a drag bar, but I can now actually sit and lean back and cruise on the damn thing instead of having to do kind of this. Which works for some people, doesn't work for me. Horses for courses. Alright, so I think that's pretty much it. So let's oh, and obviously it's got a new battery, and the regulator rectifier was very, very dead. It was absolutely fried. If you go onto my Instagram, I'm Flackinger on Instagram as well. You'll be able to see some close-ups, because yeah, it burnt out, and it burnt out hard. The everything else, every other electrical component has been tested and confirmed as working well within the working parameters. So nothing else had to get changed. I didn't have to mess around with taking the cover off or anything like that. It was literally just switching out the CDI. Not the CDI, I'm sorry, the regulator rectifier, and putting a fresh battery in. I need somewhere else to put this new regulator rectifier. I think that where I've got it now, it's going to burn out again eventually, but at the moment it's in there, and I can run the bike and I can even ride the bike. So let me start it up for you guys. So this is a completely cold engine. Oh, there's no heat that comes from there. Completely cold engine with no choke on whatsoever, and this is starting it up. And it sounds sweet. Idling at about 750 RPM at the moment. As you can see, it needed no choke. It just works. It's running better than it ever has while it's been in my ownership, and I am really excited to get this actually registered and be able to ride it around again, because that's literally all that's left to do, is to get it registered. I've also swapped out the sissy bar backrest as well, for one that doesn't have holes in it, and I want to get into this baffle down here that's rattling around as well, because I think it just makes it sound a little cheap. Hear that rattle? Like the thump 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 is good, but the ting 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 ting, not so good. And of course it does go away, but you know, I'm doing everything else to it. I really want it to sound as good as it can, so I am going to probably de-baffle it just to get rid of the noise. And I am eventually going to put at least another set of slip-ons on, if not another full system later on down the line. But for now, I'm just going to try and get rid of that horrible sound, and if that means de-baffling, then that means de-baffling. I have made a promise to myself that the next time these carbs need to come off, it's the last time they're ever coming off. The next time they need to come off, I am putting in a manifold to go to a single carb setup instead of a dual carb setup, because getting these carbs off especially is just painful. It took me the better part of an hour, lots of swearing, a bit of bleeding, and I was being careful. I was keeping my cool a lot better than I was the first time I had to take them off, and I just don't need that shit from carbs. So there are a couple of companies out there making manifolds to go down to a single carb setup, and yeah, I'm on the lookout for one. So if you've got one second hand, get in touch with me. I'm happy to pay shipping, of course, and we'll sort out a price. But in the meantime, I'm just so stoked, and I'm a little gutted that I wasn't able to record the process of doing all these things. But if you check out my Instagram, I have taken photos of a lot of the process, so you'll be able to follow along from that. So that's all for now, and it's really good to be back. I really hope everyone's staying safe, and that we're all taking this seriously and trying to get out the other side of it as soon as possible. So stay safe, stay happy, keep riding. Catch you later.